Alright, so once you have gotten your shoulder, how off you want your shoulder to be, so the next thing you will be making now, we want to determine is the sweetheart depth. Okay, so the sweetheart depth from the shoulder, that is where you want your neckline to start, is 11. From the shoulder I have 11 inches, so you can see me measuring 11 inches here as the sweetheart depth neckline. So this is where our neckline is going to start from. So it's actually going to be deep. Okay, it's actually going to be deep. So now remember, one thing we are supposed to do that is very important is to divide our shoulder. The shoulder seam has to be divided for an appropriate overbust tightening. So I'm going to mark at this point and I'm going to connect it all the way to the bust point. So now I've connected to the bust point. The next I want to take is my bust radius. I'm taking my bust radius apart. So my bust radius apart is 3.5. So I'm going to take the 3.5 all around, like this, like that. Okay, so this will help you to determine how off you actually want your shoulder measurement to be. You can see that that is where the bust area is going to sit. So now we want to, this is the how off it is, and this is the one connecting to this. So we'll be using this and this to mark out our bust, our over bust. So I place my tape. I'm using this part of my tape. So I place my tape from here and I'll measure 0.75, and from here I'll measure another 0.75. So this works for everybody. Okay, I love to use it for everybody because it actually works. So from the bust point I'll connect, and I'm going to flip my ruler like this, using the straight part of my curve ruler to connect this point. So what we have right here is the dart we are going to take off. So we are taking off all of that. So the next we want to do is to connect the sweetheart. So to connect the sweetheart, I'm using this part of my ruler to connect the sweetheart. So this is the part of my ruler that gives me the sweetheart. Let me use the inner part, so I'll have my sweetheart accordingly. So your sweetheart depends on how you actually want it to look like. So I'll be placing my pattern ruler like this. From that 11 inches we measure from the shoulder, and I'll bring it to the first dart line, and I'll be flipping. Okay, the way it is right here, we are making an off shoulder. Okay, so I'll only connect the sweetheart, and then from here I'm going to reconstruct my armhole. So there's usually a calculation for off shoulder, but the easiest way, most people take shoulder, take away 2 inches. Some take the shoulder measurement, which is 8, and take away 1.5. So I love to work with this because since my dart is already 1.5, there won't be any need to replace the dart. Because if I have to replace this dart right here, it means if I use the measurement, it will fall back. That is the off shoulder standard measurement of shoulder divided by 2 minus 1.5 or minus 2 inches. It will still get me back to this point. So the easiest way to construct your off shoulder, after taking 1.25, simply come from here and connect. Okay, so I'll simply come from here and I will connect. You can see how I slanted mine. So we are not making use of this. I slanted my pattern ruler. That is how to connect your off shoulder. So now we are done with the upper bodies. What we have right there on the upper bodies, we are done with it. So the next thing I want to do now, I will be coming over to the under bust line. So on the under bust line from the center front, I have an under bust. I'm working with under bust circumference of 34 inches. Okay, so I'm going to divide my under bust circumference of 34 inches divide by 4. So I'll first divide 34 by 2. Whatever I have, I'll also divide it. I have 17. I'll divide 17 by 2. So I have 8.5. So the 8.5 I have here, I'll come over on the under bust, place my tape on the center front and mark 8.5. This is my 8.5. What I have left is what I'm going to share. Okay, so here I have 1.5 left. So I will share from here 0.25 and I'll share from here the remaining 1.25. Remember, I got 1.5. So if I share 0.25 here, I will have 1.25 left. So I'll come in with my pattern ruler. I'll position it this way, as you can see, from that point to the bust point, and I'll flip it this other way to the bust point. See how we did that. Okay, so I just want to mark it out clearly for you to see. So now I'm going to connect what I have from here. I'll connect it to the to my dart like this, and I'll connect it to my dart like this, and this works perfectly well. So that means we are cutting off all of this, as you can see. So right now we are done with the half scale bodies. So this is basically your off shoulder bodies, and we'll be constructing the off shoulder sleeve as well. So if you need your neckline, okay, if you need it to come a little to the, maybe to the chest line, I'll also show you what you are going to do. That is, if you don't want it so wide, I'll mark from the chest line for you. In case you don't want it that deep, you can do from the chest line and connect. Okay, back to that point. Then but we are working with this, okay, for the purpose of this tutorial. I'm working with a deeper sweetheart neckline, which is this line. All right, so we'll continue now. We've contoured and we are good to go. So next we want to do now is to go over to the back body. So going over to the back body is the first thing I would love to do, is to measure what I have on the to contour my back line. So from the center front, I'm contouring by 0.75 for a perfect fit. So if I contour 0.75, I'll place my ruler from that point to the neckline, because the human shoulder is not straight. So you can see how it flush to the neckline. So that means I'm going to take my basic measurements now. So I love to work without that for my back, without that. If I'm not making a princess dart, maybe I'm working on an off shoulder, I love to work without that. So I'm going to measure my actual waist, divide by 4, minus my dart. So my actual waist is 35, divide by 4 is 8.75. So I place my tape from here and I'm going to measure 8.75. So this is my 8.75. So you can see I took my measurement from my contour line. This is my contour line. We don't need all of this. We are cutting them off. So I took my measurement from this contour line and measure my waist divide by 4 at 8.75. So I'm eliminating my darts. I don't need them. Now I will come over to my chest line. From my chest line, I'm measuring from the contour line. I'm measuring my chest divide by 4, which is 10, which is 10.5. Okay. So from here, I'll measure my 10.5. We are working with bust 42. So this is my 10.5. All right, so although I was supposed to connect this to this, the mark I had before was here, but I believe you understand what I just did here. So this is what we need now. The green line is the line we need. We don't need this line, okay? So from your contour line, measure your actual bust. From your contour line, measure your actual waist, and we are good to go. So next, we want to talk about how off is still 6 inches for the back. So I will just extend my 6 inches line from what I have right here on this line. I'll quickly rule it across to the back. So now the next thing we want to do, we want to talk about how our shoulder is going to look like, our neckline. So the neckline will be constructed from here. So if you want the neckline to get to the chest line, simply place your pattern ruler like this to the chest line. If you want it to come up, say 1 inch from the chest line, I'll measure 1 inch from the chest line. I'll still place my pattern ruler this way, 1 inch up to the chest line. So it depends on the line you want to make use of. So any one you want to make use of, that is where you are going to cut. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we are making use of the one that is connected to the chest line, because we actually have a deep neckline right here. So since we have a deep neckline, I will also want it to get to the chest line. So on this chest line, that is where we are taking our measurement of the off shoulder.